how's your product placement over there, Shonda?
We haven't really. I mean, it's interesting because we sort of just had the meeting with the network where they came to share with us their thoughts on product integration. We haven't really done it. I mean, I have stuff that I feel really strongly about, like, you know, Meredith has to be wearing a Hello Kitty Band-Aid on her forehead. It has to be Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
Or, you know, stuff like that. But it's not product placement. They're not getting anything from it. We're not getting anything from it. I feel like a couple of times, perhaps with medical equipment, like giant, huge, state-of-the-art, weird stuff, they've done it. But we're going to use it anyway, so...
No, it's helped me make my decision.
Yeah. MRI machines, probably.
No. I don't think we can.
You have to use a Disney MRI machine.
Cinderella MRI. But yeah, there's been a lot of stuff like that, but we haven't really even begun to think about it. We've been asked a lot of questions about what we would do. It's hard on our show. If you're not in the hospital, I mean, everyone's in scrubs. It's surgery all the time. You know, they're not going to be... You know, there's no Ralph Lauren scrubs, so it's not.
We get no free clothes. We get nothing. I mean, I can tell you what House wears. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I mean, none of that stuff happens for us in terms of any of that.
Yeah.
And at home, they're at home so rarely. I always, you know, they always joke, like, is there any product placement we could do in the home? And I think, well, Meredith's sitting on the bathroom floor brushing her teeth, so I don't know. Do you care what toothbrush she's holding? Like, you're never going to see any of that stuff in any real way, and she's never going to comment, I really love my Colgate toothpaste. It's not going to happen. So for us,
that's what they want, and that's the most annoying thing is you would do it. You would pepper this stuff all over the place because it adds an element of reality.
Well,
but they always ask them to say something. You're like, what are you doing?
It's a lot harder,
I hate that.
But I don't necessarily know if they will ask them to say anything. It's just a lot harder, and we're just beginning to sort of see what it means and to figure out if it's anything that we'd want to be a part of in any way.
Speaking of advertisers, Alan, what have you learned about vampires since you started working on this show?
How does that?
It doesn't.
Blood-sucking What have I learned about vampires? That people love them.
Sexy.
That there are a lot of people who really fantasize sexually about having sex with a vampire, and they're not necessarily all young goth, the kinds that you would think.
But they are all weirdos.
A lot of them are housewives. There is a whole like subgenre of supernatural lady porn. You know, like romance fiction with like hot werewolves and hot vampires and hot, you know. And there's a big audience for that.
Well, it's the bad boy taste.
Absolutely.
It's not just the bad boy. It's the pains man who will love you for all of time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that is.
I had one of my ADs who was from Texas. She was visiting friends, and one of the husbands came up and said, I just have to thank you for that show. And she said, why? And he said, because every Sunday night we have the best sex with our wives we've had in years. You know, and we did this thing at the Paley Festival, and there was this row of, like, you know, middle-aged women wearing T-shirts that say "Bite me, Eric" or "Bite me, Bill," and they all stood up and they went crazy about those two vampires, and I'm like, okay, that's my audience. I'm gonna go there.
I mean, Dark Shadows was daytime, wasn't it?
I love that.
I mean, that whole. There's something. The
say
southern.
Sookie once. Just say Sookie once.
Thank you.